Hi everybody, my name is Renee. I am a sexual health educator over at the Sexual Health Center for Cumberland County, and my pronouns are she and they. And today we're going to talk about sexual health education tips for parents and caregivers. Just a little bit about us. We are the Sexual Health Center for Cumberland County. We're a member of the umbrella organization Sexual Health Nova Scotia, representing an amazing collective of sexual health centers from across the province. We're entering our 40th year of operation, and we provide programs, services, and support to people of all ages across our county, including training, individual guidance and support, safer sex supplies, and programs such as our Girls World program and our Media Youth Leadership program. Sex education has so many benefits, especially when it is delivered in an open, honest, comfortable, shame-free environment. And studies continue to show that sexual health education is best delivered and is going to have the most positive impact when it is facilitated by parents and caregivers with the support of reliable sources such as sex ed in the school system and by sexual health centers. Sex ed saves lives, and I'm not being dramatic when I say that. Recent studies have actually showed this because good quality sex education is about the three golden rules: health, safety, and consent. Sex education teaches youth how to stand up for themselves. It teaches them the difference between assertiveness and aggressiveness. It teaches them about their personal space, their boundaries, how far they're willing to go, how to make decisions, how to make informed decisions, how to weigh the pros and cons of a situation, and where to locate good resources and supports in the community. I want you to take a minute and think about your own experiences in learning about sex as a young person and the assumptions about sexual health that you had then and that you may hold now. So what's changed? And why and how has that changed? I think it's important for us to remember that we bring a lot of biases and assumptions to the table when we're talking about sex and sexuality. And we're going to talk more in the next slide about just how big and broad sexual health really is. How we were taught about sex education really has an impact on how we deliver it. And this slide is just about us taking a moment to reflect on those values, to reflect about how we learned about that, and in ways that we want to learn from those experiences, maybe even improve upon those experiences for the well-being of our child. Our sexuality is about more than, well, sex. And it is about that, of course, but it's about so much more. Our sexuality has physical, emotional, and spiritual aspects. It's about our beliefs and values, how we communicate with one another, how we perceive our bodies and ourselves, our personality, our gender, how we express our gender, our attractions, our orientation, and how we are socialized to understand and feel all of those things. Our sex and sexuality is pretty big and pretty broad. When we teach sex ed, here's some things for us to keep in mind. We want to make sure that we're respectful, responsive, not reactive, responsive, and inclusive. Remember that there is more than two genders. Remember that sexual health is big and broad, and we want to be inclusive of everybody when we're talking about sex ed. It's really important to plan ahead and to find out what they already know. We live in a very sexual world, and youth are receiving messages about sexual health and well-being from a variety of places. You might be pleasantly or unpleasantly surprised with what they already know. So it's up to you to find this out and also to sort out any misinformation that they may have. On the other hand, you might also be impressed with the quantity and quality of sex ed that they have gathered. So conversations and ongoing conversations are really important. Remember to teach to your child's age and developmental level and their experience and their understanding. And remember, you're going to gauge a lot of that from those conversations that we just talked about. And sexuality is not given to a person by anyone else. Sex and sexuality is not something that is earned. it is a basic human right. So it's really important for us to keep in mind that our children have rights to information, to services, to safety, to privacy, and to understand the concepts of consent and boundaries. And speaking of rules, here are the 3 golden rules. And the 3 golden rules for me are really at the center of sex positivity. And sex positivity, in essence, is understanding that sex is something that can be pleasurable and awesome and amazing, and that we all should experience joy and pleasure, but that it must be around the pillars of consent, health, and safety. By consent, we mean all aspects of consent, from communication. Do I want this? Do they want this? Are we of legal age? Do we understand what we are consenting to? To safety. Is this happening in a safe setting? Do I have privacy? Do I understand what privacy is? Do I understand what a healthy relationship is? Do I understand when my human rights are being violated, and are they being violated? And I'm thinking specifically here about discrimination and harassment, people whose identity is not being respected. It's important that you provide a clear understanding of private and public body parts, as well as different activities and situations that can arise. Once you start teaching about sexual health, you should set limits with them around places where they can discuss these topics and what's appropriate and what's inappropriate. We want to remember to be consistent. Try not to mix up your messages to avoid confusion. And if you're uncertain or uncomfortable with the material, do some studying of your own before having a chat. Remember, like all other topics, repetition is key for teaching concepts. So repeat, repeat, repeat. And asking questions is a great way to reinforce learning. And remember to respond and not to react or overreact. You want to be approachable so your child will feel comfortable. Be open to answering questions and try to be calm in your response. I don't expect you to be Dr. Ruth, but remember to use the correct terminology. And if you don't know the answer to the question, or if you're not prepared to answer it at that time and you need to take a step back, just simply know that, and that you'll get back to them as soon as you can with the information. And remember that asking questions is a great way to reinforce learning. Maybe you are watching the news and a story comes on about something and you ask your child, what do you think of that? Or maybe when you're watching a movie or a television show. And also remember that when your youth comes to you, to do your best to respond and not to react or overreact, because you want them to feel comfortable to continue to come to you should they have any issues. Remember to be a positive role model by using the correct language, respecting their privacy, avoiding shameful reactions and comments that can be harmful. Use correct terminology. I don't expect you to be a walking thesaurus, but be aware of street language and use proper pronouns whenever possible. The right words at the right time really is a great approach, and because words do matter. So it's really important that we keep that in mind. I no longer have sex ed presentations now without a technology component, because technology and sexual health is continuing to intersect in a huge variety of ways. One example of this is the number of people that are meeting online. Look at the growth of dating sites and dating apps. Pornhub, in the early days of the pandemic, Pornhub reported a significant increase in visitors to their site. So at least 60% of youth in the past have learned about sex from YouTube and from Google. It's also important to keep in mind that technology is being used by predators to lure and coerce youth and others. So we also are understanding more and more about the impact that technology has on our mental health. And our mental health and our well-being is an important part of our sexual health. So learning how to navigate technology, keeping up with the sites, keeping up with the apps, because remember that they are ever evolving. And when possible, be part of that technology with your child and work to discuss with them technology. Have conversations about about the different apps. Maybe do a TikTok with them. But understanding technology is a very important part of understanding and talking about sexual health. And with all the technology, it is even more important that we talk about the difference between what is real and what is fake. And this is in technology in the world around us. We live in a very sexual world, and sex is being used to sell pretty much everything these days. So there's a lot of fake out there. It's important to talk to your youth about what other bodies look like, about what Photoshop is, Instagram filters, and that there really is no normal. Use as many resources as you can to help your child learn, and remember that your sexual health center is there to help. Videos with animations are a great way to get information in a short amount of time. We have videos on our YouTube page, and we're continuing to make more on an ongoing basis. Right here is Sexual Health Nova Scotia's Sexual and Mental Health Library. Check that library out. It has a lot of information and advice. And also here's some other suggested resources, including Action Canada's new sexual health hub that they recently introduced, and amaze.org. That is, well, it's an amazing site with the videos, with lots of animation and videos that you can check out. And you can watch those with your child, and remember to have conversations afterwards about what you've just watched and be available to answer any questions. Sex ed doesn't have to be big and scary and a daunting task. You got this. And just the fact that you are accessing resources right now, watching videos like this, says a lot. And your child's going to be better off for it. That's great. So if you need anything, remember that we're here to help. And if you're not in Cumberland County, there's sexual health centers across the province that are amazing and have a lot of great resources for you. If you're in Halifax, check out Venus Envy. Venus Envy has a lot of great books for parents and for caregivers on a variety of sexual health topics. Thanks to our funders, and if you have any questions, let us know. Thanks. Bye.